Welcome to Sacred Cow Shipyards, where no ship is safe from being taken down to its nuts and bolts. Y'all know what? I actually had somewhere near 20 minutes recorded for this particular episode, and then I suddenly realized that I didn't care, and I guarantee you didn't care, and well, here we are. So let's just cut to the perfect chase. I will never contract to defend a planet. Ever. In any case, no matter what, period, dot. And there is a very, very simple reason for this. Planets are at the bottom of a hole. That is to say, planets are at the bottom of a gravity well. And you don't want to be at the bottom of a gravity well. Because when you're at the bottom of a gravity well, all someone has to do is throw things at you. And those things get faster and faster and faster until they hit you. In fact, you can trace this trope all the way back to classic science fiction, where in The Moon is a Harsh Mistress, the artificial intelligence known as Mycroft Holmes was attempting to convince the Luna colony to revolt from Earth, and the Luna colony did not have a military at the time, and they weren't really sure how to do that. And Mycroft simply pointed out that they would throw rocks. Because after all, the moon, for y'all's planet Earth, holds a superior gravitational position. It just has to throw things not even that hard, and they'll eventually hit Earth. It's an uncomfortable situation to be in when you're trying to defend a planet. More recently, the TV series Expanse also touched on this concept, although the impacts on Earth were scheduled far more in advance and were far more complicated. But the point is, planets are at the bottoms of gravitational wells. They are really difficult to defend because, again, if you take a mass and you drop it into a gravitational well, it's gonna hurt. Which, I guess, brings us to the Necromongers and their Conquest Icon. Now, I understand that y'all might not be too familiar with the Necromongers. They are a subspecies of the Riddick universe, which is its own complicated universe by its own right. I maintain it is an amazing science fiction series, and if you don't like it, you are cordially invited to autofornicate elsewhere. The point is, the Necromongers are a significant factor in one of the movies simply because they decided to invade one of the planets that Riddick was on at the time. And they do this basically by slow boat methods. The Necromongers travel between the stars by sublight methods. Not terribly sublight, they're moving pretty fast, but they're still technically sublight. And in the course of their sublight journey, they accumulate a comet around them, in that they spend enough time in interstellar space, and their ships may or may not be quite as sealed as would be optimal for interstellar travels, so they leak water, they leak gases, they leak whatever it is they leak, and they build up a comet around them. And everyone in the Riddick universe knows that the Necromongers are always preceded by comets. This is kind of a classic almost medieval age foreshadowing method thing. I mean, seriously, every major event in human history is almost foreshadowed by a comet, so this is just a really common trope. Anyways, the comet is actually the Necromonger fleet, and as it approaches the intended planet that they're targeting, it kind of breaks apart and starts releasing its lesser vessels. And one of those lesser vessels is known as the Conquest Icon. I don't know how to verbally describe this thing. Aside from maybe an interplanetary spear, I mean, this thing is literally designed to simply hit a planet and embed itself in it like a spear. That is one of its primary purposes. It comes in at literal terminal velocity and impacts at terminal velocity and causes catastrophic damage around its impact point because it hit at terminal velocity, and that was kind of its first point. And no pun intended, because it does have a very pointy front end that it embeds in the planet's crust. So, maybe pun intended. But then its second purpose, which gets kind of complicated because apparently necromongers have gravitational drives and inertial dampeners and a couple other things, is the surfaces of the Conquest Icon are absolutely covered in fighters. Like literally covered in fighters. I think it has nearly 900 fighters bolted onto the side of it. And as soon as it hits and stabilizes and everything kind of settles in, it launches those 900 fighters, and they all take out the immediate defense arrangement that this particular planet might have. Now, I guess I should have a momentary divergence and just say that the Necromongers are f***ing weird. They have a particular religion and a particular way of going about things that basically consists of convert everyone they can and kill everyone they can't convert. There's all kinds of explanations about how that is weird and doesn't work, but that's neither here nor there for this particular circumstance. We're just talking about the Conquest Icon, not their weird little culty nonsense going on. Anyways, this massive spike comes hurtling out of the depths of space and embeds itself in your planet's crust, and then all of a sudden it launches somewhere near 900 fighters and starts laying waste to your planetary defense systems, and then most of your population gets killed off, what remains gets converted, and then the Necromongers take off to go do this same thing to another planet. And they leave these little Conquest Icons behind, only they're not that little, they're about 200 meters tall. And that's because inside of each and every Conquest Icon is some sort of plasma-based planet-killing warhead device system that as soon as the Necromongers are done personally killing everyone they can and converting everyone who wants to, they pack up and leave, and then they activate the icons. And the icons release these plasma doohickeys into the air, and these things just literally cauterize the planet. The Necromongers explicitly kill everything they cannot convert. That's actually one of the tenets of their quote-unquote religion. So, wow. I mean, I have to give some appreciation to that kind of, thoroughness, because attention to detail is important, but man, that's impressive even by my standards. But still, looking at the Conquest Icon as a weapon of war / starship, which I guess it technically is, because it does technically move between the stars, it does make a certain degree of sense. Assuming that the Necromongers have some sort of gravitic drive system, which I'm sure they have to because they're slow-butting between star systems, and even on reaction systems, you don't have enough fuel to get fast enough for that to be really feasible, even if you do have hibernation systems for your squishy humans. So they do have some sort of gravitic, inertialess drive system. So, assuming that, these things are literal rods from God. And that's a phrase you should look up, because this is something that the human planet considered for a long while as a space weapon. Dropping rods from space cause a lot of damage, like an obscene amount of damage. Like the movie that these things appeared in actually kind of like understated how much damage these things would cause hitting the crust of the planet. They are just massive rods from God, and they hit so hard and so fast. And then on top of that, they're just covered in fighters, which, I mean, again, they have inertialess drive systems, so they have to have inertial dampeners, so the impact wouldn't, kill every one of those 800 fighter pilots as they were strapped into their fighters, which, I mean, wouldn't really bother the Necromongers that much, but I mean, it might kind of get in the way of the conquest. And then, after we're done with the fighters and everything, and everyone's packed up and left, these things not only burn the planet to the ground, they remain behind as a testament to the absolute horror that is the Necromonger culture. Because people have found planets with these staked into them, and it's kind of a thing. It's kind of like accidentally stumbling across, I don't know, a skeleton with a stake through its thoracic cavity and going, oh, I should back away now. And you really have to kind of appreciate a genocidal weapon that has that level of style. And that's all from Sacred Cow Shipyards. Please be advised that any ship left on the dock for more than 24 hours will be compressed to a cube. Have a good day.